You say you want love, but when it chases you, you run. You say you want to commit, but easily quit. You say you're ready, but you don't want to start. You say you love yourself, but only if it's safe. What if your safe is rooted in danger, but now you're actually free? But free doesn't feel safe, so you keep yourself in danger. You keep yourself in danger. So I wanted to create a storytelling cinematic video, but I realized that sometimes it's a way for me to hide from being vulnerable. So today I'm choosing to be raw and real, no special effects, just us having a conversation. Mic check, mic check. Yes, let's start. Hello, my loves. Hello, how are you guys doing? Before I start, I just want to say something. I think people who are gonna watch this video either were searching for something and this video popped up, or clicked because they are struggling with something in life, or there is something in their lives right now. So I just want to say, take a deep breath. Babe, sir, it's gonna be all right, okay? It's gonna be all right. Hello, my name is Bettien and I create content about my life, personal development, faith, and storytelling. And today is episode 2 of the series called The Avoidant Paradox. This is a series where I dive deeper into being an avoidant attached, as I have been struggling with this for a big part of my life until I went to therapy. So every episode we're gonna talk about things, what I go through or what I faced, while also being on my healing journey towards being more secure attached. If you don't know what attachment styles are, don't worry, it's okay. Attachment styles describe how people emotionally bond with relationships, other people, based on experiences they had with their caregivers in an early stage. So there are 4 main types of attachment styles. Secure, that's what I think everyone should aim for. That means that you're comfortable in relationships, you're secure, you're comfortable with intimacy and independence, and you have a healthy amount of trust in relationships. Second one, anxious preoccupied. That means that you crave closeness, you fear abandonment, and often seek reassurance. The third one, avoidant dismissive. This is for the people who values independence and avoid emotional closeness. And this is the one I'm gonna talk about for a majority in this series, as I'm someone who is avoidant dismissive. And the last one is disorganized fearful avoidant. And these are the people who desires closeness, but at the same time are scared of getting hurt. This leads to mixed signals, hot and cold, hot and cold, hot and cold. Not gonna lie, I tend to have these tendencies as well, or let's say had these tendencies as well, because I'm fully aware of my behavior and my patterns now. So if you have an anxious, dismissive, or disorganized attachment style, this can impact your relationships in life or your relationships as an adult, as it can make you feel stuck and it can impact the way you connect with other people. So I'm gonna give quick, simple examples so that you know what I'm talking about. Starting with romantic relationships as an anxious attachment style. You might become overly clingy, fear of rejection, and or constant in need of emotional reassurance. And this could lead to being emotionally exhausted. The avoidant attachment. You may struggle with commitment, pushing people away, or feel uncomfortable with intimacy, especially emotional intimacy, making deep connections difficult. The disorganized attachment style. You might experience intense emotional ups and downs, which leads to fearing both closeness and abandonment. Friendships and social life. Because this is important. Especially for the avoidant attachment, we struggle with forming deep connections, trusting other people, which leads to not always having meaningful friendships. I'm working on that though. And I'm not gonna lie, it's going well these days. And for the disorganized attachment style, you could fear being rejected, leading to social withdrawal. As someone who's struggling with being avoidant, I just realized that it had a huge impact on the relationships that I had at that time. I felt like I was always working very hard to maintain relationships, and that for other regular people, it went easily, it went more natural. And for me, it felt like I was always working hard to make it work, if that makes sense. And at a certain point, I just knew it was me. I don't know how to explain, but I just knew there was something in me that, one, I was attracting the same people over and over again. Two, when it came to a certain level of bonding, I was always scared and then run away. And three, I just knew this was a pattern in my life. I was aware that this was something that was coming again and again and again. And I just knew it can't be other people. It has to be me. It has to be me. Yeah, sorry, went to the toilet real quick. So, trust issues refer to the difficulty in believing that other people are reliable, honest, and loyal. That's the definition. I just looked it up. I have always struggled with trust issues, and to be honest, for a long time, I thought it was normal. For a long time, I thought it was normal to look through a lens at life in a way that you just don't trust anybody and you feel like everyone is out there to get you. And I know it sounds silly, but this is a real thing. And to be honest, I never knew how much it impacted my life. And now I'm not talking about, oh, she's just a girl, she don't trust men, or his girl cheated, so that's why he don't trust people. I'm talking about something that is deeply rooted. And I'm gonna give an example, and I'm a little bit nervous and a little bit ashamed, but I just want to tell you this so that you can see what I mean with deep rooted trust issues. So there was a time that I had an appointment with my therapist, and let's say I had an appointment on Wednesday and she called in sick on Tuesday afternoon. She called me and she was like, I'm sorry, I'm sick. I cannot have our appointment on Wednesday. She was calling me and I was like, oh, okay, no problem. But as soon as I hang up the phone, I didn't believe her. I thought she was lying because she didn't want to see me. So I went on social media on LinkedIn to see if I could catch her lying so that I can feel comfort in a belief system that I had. Did you catch that? Please tell me you catch that. I was searching for a certain comfort of a belief system that I had at that point in my life. I had a belief system, and because I had a belief system, someone told me something. I could only look and think through a certain lens, and I just couldn't believe that she was really sick and that's why she couldn't see me. So what's the belief system behind this? The belief system behind this is, instead of me thinking that there are so many things in the world that could happen, people getting the flu, people taking care of someone else, like there's so much things besides you as a person, I made it very personal. And this is very dangerous because the root of the trust issue here was me having a certain low self-esteem that escalated in something so big only because I was viewing life in a certain way. What I really loved about this therapist was she really reassured me, and it made me realize, I'm not gonna cry. Sorry, thinking about it makes me emotional. Sorry. Sorry, I'm gonna try to not cut this out because I like things perfect, but there's a reason why I was sitting on my couch like this. Because, normally I like the storytelling and stuff like that, but I feel like it's also a way for me to protect myself and I just want to be real. But what makes me emotional is that thinking about it, I didn't know that it had so much impact on my life, because it suddenly hit me why I was always afraid of letting people in, and always I don't know how to say it, you go through life thinking that someone is always there to get you, someone is always there to hurt you, someone is always there to scam you. What I learned, I really loved this therapist, by the way. She always had so much patience with me. And And I know some people will say, isn't that the job of a therapist? Yeah, it is, but it's not everyone who is like that. You can really see who is a therapist because it's a therapist, or it's a therapist because she cares for other people. And what I learned while especially healing this kind of wound that I had was, at the end of the day, guys, friendship, romantic relationships, work, having relationships with people in general, there is no guarantee that someone is not going to hurt you. Like, being afraid in life to connect with people based on getting hurt, that means that you can't live. Life comes with a risk. As soon as I realized that, instead of focusing on if people will hurt me or not, I focused on working on myself, working on my confidence and my self-worth, and building on knowing who I am as a person, and that if a situation comes, that I know and trust myself enough, and I trust the Lord enough, that I know that I will overcome it. I feel like this is in the core a thing that a lot of avoidants struggle with. They struggle with seeing the world through a certain lens, which prevents them of trusting other people. Yeah, excuse me again. This time I was going to the mirror to see if my makeup is still in place. But as someone who is a Christian, this really impacted my relationship with God, and also something I didn't knew before. I always thought that I was open with God. I always thought that I was always vulnerable. But going through my healing journey with God, I realized that God spoke to me, and he was like, our relationship is not different than the relationship you have with other people, because our relationship is also impacted by deep-rooted trauma. The moment when I realized that, I was so shocked. I was also, to be honest, very, very sad. I cried a lot, because that was the moment I realized that, wow, this is a real issue. The fact that my whole body and my whole system automatically react in a certain way the moment I have to be vulnerable says a lot about how I go through life without even knowing it, right? So I asked for God to help me, obviously. And to be honest, what I was praying for in the beginning was a lot of, please let me be open to people around me. Let me be able to break my walls down. Let me be able to feel comfort and safety in being vulnerable. And I never forget that the day that I was being aware of having this with people, but also then having this with God, God told me, you know what? Just start with me. If you start with me, everything else after will flow. And I know the first few times when I did this, I was feeling so cringe when I was talking to God about my feelings, about what I was going through, about things I struggle with. I was feeling so cringe, but the more I was doing it, the more I was getting used to it. I mean, look at me now. I'm talking with you about this now. I am being so vulnerable with the world right now. I am being so raw with y'all right now. And if you would tell me this 8 years ago, I would say never in my life would I do this. Feeling comfortable to being open and vulnerable, I would say, and especially like the way I'm doing now with y'all, I would say never in my life I would do that. I would say, are you mad? So in Christianity, in many Christian communities, it's very hard to talk about mental health and trauma and saying that you are a believer at the same time, because a lot of people will tell you that you can't struggle with mental health and be a Christian at the same time. You can't have like traumas or struggling with traumas and be a believer at the same time. My favorite one is you can't go to therapy and be a believer at the same time. I feel like this was a big part, I think, of me struggling with what kind of content I'm going to put out, because I just know that I have baggage, I have things I struggled with, things I want to speak about, but at the same time, I am Christian, I am a believer, and I want to include that in our conversations. But I was just like, how am I going to do that, knowing that in a lot of communities, they will definitely be like, nah, 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 nah. No, I don't think you're really fully in the Lord. If I don't think, you know what? Those things can coexist because therapy really, really, really learned me to be aware of my patterns, to be aware of my wounds, but also put me in a position that I could choose. So the thing is, before you go to therapy, a lot of things you are not aware of. A lot of things are going automatic without you even knowing it. As soon as you're in your healing journey and you hit a certain level, you will notice that you have a choice. Because before therapy, you didn't really have a choice because you were not aware. And it made me question myself and things around me. Like, is it still serving me? Will it still serve generations after me? And you are the one who can break generational traumas, break generational curses, and start from a new perspective. There were times that I thought, I don't even know if I can do this. Even now, still sometimes I think this. And the beauty of Christianity and the beauty of Jesus Christ is you don't have to do it alone. So knowing that I will face challenges, knowing that I am healing, I just know that I don't have to do this alone. And that gives me so much peace, so much certainty, but also so much confidence. Learn to be vulnerable, because if you learn to be vulnerable and if you learn to be real and raw, imagine how your conversations with God's gonna be. Imagine like how you can really heal the core of things that flows to everything else in life. And I think that is the key to everything I have been doing now. Making sure I depend on God and He can lead me through this.
Will I ever love? I don't know. Am I capable? Yes, I am. Why? Because I serve a mighty God.